So I just had a weird theater experience. I walk into the theater, go to my seat, because we have assigned seats there. Someone's sitting in it, so I sit off to the side of them, and then at some point before the movie started, somebody in the theater left, and then like 4 people moved seats so that everyone was in the right spot eventually. That was certainly an odd one. Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele and starring Daniel Kaluuya. That was more or less what I've been trying to find for the past few months. A suspense movie that actually generates suspense. I had a few predictions of this movie as it unfolded, but at the end of it, it was pretty surprising how it actually went. Get Out is a story of a black man named Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, and he goes to meet his girlfriend's parents for the first time, and just right away, something's not quite right. He eventually figures out that there's hypnotism involved and a much more sinister plot. Now, unfortunately, the first 2/3 of the movie were basically the trailer of the movie, with just longer and more boring. Went from trailer beat to trailer beat, like as you'd expect, and it really illustrated that maybe this could have been a much shorter film, because there was a lot of stuff that was really boring. Like your normal movie, or a good movie, should go like up for something interesting happening, and then your interest starts to peter off and then back up. No matter what the slope of the downward angle is, eventually it jumps up at a reasonable rate. But this movie, it took a little bit too long for the interesting bits to happen. It was just a lot of boring stuff and stuff that I'd already seen months ago in the trailers. But that's more my fault for going to the movie so often where they would show that trailer. And well, first of all, Daniel Kaluuya did a really good job acting at starring through this role. I've never seen him before in anything, at least nothing noteworthy. But I think I've heard he's going to be in Black Panther, so it's a good little introduction for him. Everyone else in the movie didn't have a whole lot of screen time compared to him. Even his girlfriend was missing for most of it, so he was definitely like the primary star of the movie. So her parents were first hypnotizing people. I don't think it mattered that they were black. That I'll get back into that later. But her mother was a hypnotist and her father was a neurosurgeon. So the first part of the plan was to hypnotize them, and the second part of the plan was a full-on mind swap, physical, brain. They had it very well illustrated. The mother I know mostly from small bit parts, notably Hamlet 2 is the only one that really comes to mind. And the dad is Peralta's dad on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's the only thing I can really remember him from. It really helps if there's actors I know from other stuff so that I can follow them a lot better in the film. Like, the first guy I saw in this movie was Darius from Atlanta, and I was like, oh, Darius, nice. Like, in the trailer, he looked different, but when he had like a bit of a beard in the beginning, I immediately recognized him as Darius. But then later in the film, he started looking very different. I started kind of questioning it. I actually haven't looked it up, but I'm going to trust my gut on this. The girlfriend, whose name I think is Rose, she was all right. The dialogue in this is very natural. Like the old white people's dialogues towards the black man was a bit over the top, but for the most part, the reactions and everything was a very realistic dialogue pattern. So the girlfriend Rose was pretty good. She's like a hotter Jennifer Connelly, I think. The other joy of this movie was the side character Rod, who was a TSA agent, and he was funny as hell. That's where you really get Jordan Peele's comedic writing down. Because I was expecting this to be a lot funnier of a movie than it was. It could have been more funny or more scary. It didn't quite hit either one of those all the way. But Rod was the funny part of the movie. He had a whole spiel about Jeffrey Dahmer fucking brains and eating them. And he was definitely the highlight of the end of the movie. I wish he would have been more prevalent throughout the movie, but he was doing the whole thing from a remote location in the city. But he was a TSA agent, and he was using his TSA detective skills to solve the mystery, which was really cool. Despite he was pretty misguided in it, but it worked. Now here's kind of the thing I liked about it. the race didn't actually matter. It wasn't so much that all the old white people who were doing this were racist. Like, I thought maybe they were making a black person fight club or something. There was MMA was mentioned early on in the movie, so I was just guessing. But I knew that the girl was in on it the whole time. I definitely called that. It wasn't so much that they were choosing black people out of some kind of maliciousness. It was just in style at the time, at this current age of our lives, of history. It reminds me of that South Park episode where all the cops in South Park are trying to frame Michael Jackson for something until they find out that he's a black man, and then they're like, whoa, rich black man can't do anything wrong these days. And it kind of had that sort of pseudo-racism to it. Not in a bad way, but still wholeheartedly racist. But what they were actually looking for, not so much this color of their skin, but certain attributes that are often associated with that color of skin. Penis size, muscles, etc. But yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about it. I guess I didn't particularly enjoy the movie, personally, but I can see how it was good. I heard a guy, as I was walking out of the theater, say that he really enjoyed it, so I assume there are others like him. I thought that the twist was a really solid ending. I thought it was a little bit stupid how all of a sudden Chris, who was a photographer, turned into a perfect killing machine at the end and was just taking out family members left and right, but whatever. So I will leave it at that and let you go.